What is the essence of life? Is it evolution, conflict, the drive to procreate, or simply death? What is the essence of humankind? Is it the unending thirst, be it literal or for more power, a collective idiocy, or is it just apes having a mutated cortex? What is the essence of exponentiality? Welcome, aristocrat. Join me today on a Jungian ride down a lapine cavity labyrinth where the fraying edges of reality are ours to rip apart and rearrange. Time to pull yourself up by your four bootstraps and embark heels over head into the scary unknown. Except it is not unknown anymore, because you already explored it before by injecting yourself with a time-dilating sedative. Don't fret, because time itself stops at your very whim, and you will literally make history. Have you ever felt at odds with yourself? Now you can experience it first, second, and third hand. Imposter syndrome? How about imposter symptom? What am I even talking about? A wise woman once said,
"Please give me cock."
And ever since I was mystified by her words. Why does she want cock? What does this mean by this? Today we're going to explore the whys and hows of this absolute queen's assertions together. Join me as I reveal my cock proficiency, engage in cock and ball torture, and cock my shotguns as we delve deep into this mystery-ridden hellscape roguelike RPG born of sheer queer dedication and pure ingenuity by Freehold Games. Welcome to the Caves of Good. Now, who the hell is Kud and why is he so cave-ridden? Kud is the land this game takes place in the far future of the Rashidun Caliphate, but any real-life connections don't matter anymore, as the very rules of reality and physics have been altered and warped throughout all the time that has passed. Like, there is a soul-rebirthing half-reality network created several thousand years ago, and we won't create something like this ever in our lifetimes, and no, Elon, we won't have it until next year. Just shut the fuck up for once, oh my god! Humanity as we know it is no more, and several kingdoms and sultanates comprised of humanoidish monstrosities, creatures and otherworldly beings have risen and fallen in the meantime. The history and lore of Kud spans thousands and thousands of years, and yet the furthest point back doesn't even seem to remember a world even halfway resembling ours as we know it anymore. Thank fuck. So, like a good Buddhist, let us disconnect from any earthly bonds before we embark into the Kudian depths. Caves of Kud is a 4X game because you exterminate, existential crisis, extrude your swarm of limbs, and xer. Actually, Caves of Kud is a turn-based, roguelike, RPG-esque digital torture device where every move you take, the whole simulated world around you takes a step as well. Just like in Realife, speed is just a subjective variable that defines how many actions you can take in relation to others in the same quite literal time frame. So, while this rabbit sow with a built-in Winchester in its snout may try to shoot me, a multi-legged minotaurical miscreant, can outrun, outgun, and outcome it, while it's still reloading its cranial cartridges. Also, just like you, dear viewer, every being in the little caves that Kud is an individual. So, you see me make this one step here. Every plant in the immediate surroundings has just executed a highly informed, detailed thought, pondering about the morality of trying to strangle you with its roots or shoot you with some explosive pollen. Step. This baboon just decided against throwing rocks at you after considering the proposal carefully for the entire duration of the frame, but only because you wear a blood-drenched slave band. Else this would have turned into the "I banged the local welly's wife and got caught" experience. 9 out of 10 doctors recommend you check your reputation tab before entering Bethesda Susa and other places. They learned that from watching the 10th Doctor be mangled to pieces by angry cyberpunk extremists after not checking the tab. Ranged combat is quite simple. You click the ranged combat button and then click the target. Depending on the eyes, hands, coordinations, capabilities of your disgusting, akimbo-wielding, mutated insectoid flesh amalgamate, you may hit it with your reality-defying or enforcing weaponry, and sometimes even hit the target you want. Melee combat is also quite simple, because in Kud, it's just like in the hood. If you run into someone that isn't one of your Gs, that is obvious and immediately counted as assault. Upon bumping into an enemy, the game will look at each of yours and your enemy's singular or multiple arms, grotesque visages, and various appendages of increasingly abstruse states of deformation and decay. It will then check what you're holding in those appendages, be it a blade, a shake weight that charges an energy cell, a flask of constantless aphrodisiac, or maybe just your very own horrible excuse of a hand itself. It happens to be a fermenting, fleshy growth that randomly explodes into a spore cloud. And the game will apply all these effects of all the participating limbs on each other every single frame for every single field. It also simulates this with liquids. Get ready to fight the putrid, sticky, gooey, salty, acidic, algae-covered, acidic, algal, gooey, honeyed, putrid, salty pentasludge that equipped the salty pseudopod, causing him to catalyze into the putrid, sticky, gooey, salty, acidic, algae-covered, acidic, algal, gooey, honeyed, putrid, salty hexasludge that is obviously a member of the folk of the Bloodborne. Look at all these effects cutting all over the screen very cavidly. Once you have beaten your adversaries into a twitching mess of bony marmalade, you can plunder their equipment and or ripped off body parts to upgrade your own stuff and or fill your belly.
Today we're gonna eat something of my fine collection of Zakari limbs. How about some visage meat stuffed meat?
And find riches and artifacts of all kinds in chests, bookshelves, or just lying on the ground. COQ isn't a normal game where you just keep on finding color swaps of your main weapon with a bigger number attached to it. Hell no. Even if I spent an hour describing different items in this game and their effects, I would only be able to cover a tiny fraction of it. KNiCE has a wild assortment of base items, which will interact with the randomization and the environment, leading to some of the most ridiculous combinations of adjectives you have ever witnessed. From tractor beams, implanted psychic glands, and bilaterally blood-sucking guns to cloning draught, randomization, or sentience juice, over to wearables that can change the temperature of you, your surroundings, down to a pack of creationist neocolor or a throwable piece of sun, the loot of KNiCE situation is insane. Now, as you may have noticed, the world map and graphic design of this game may be a bit reminiscent of the adrenaline-fueled, legal drinking age gaming block and ball buster that is Dwarf Fortress. And that comparison isn't even that far-fetched, as both games randomly generate a lot of their content, lore and history when starting the game. Dwarf Fortress is usually rather focused on general management, and I'd say overall more complex. Meanwhile, Caves of KNiCE is like the adventurer mode of Dwarf Fortress after a 2-week binge on unfiltered Vorkuta basement crocodile. When you start, the game will generate 50 layers of 9 full-screen maps for each one of these tiles, filled with ruins, historical sites, villages and quests, lairs, caves, and hellholes of all kinds, as well as the history of 5 sultans with a predetermined 6th sultan, with directions over the years reflected within the game space. These 5 sultans will have brown-nosed or pissed off some of the numerous different factions, like Sultan Polishit, that peaked upon some succulents performing a secret ritual. Because they didn't like that, they declared him a villain to their kind. They will have built shrines where they relay important information and thoughts like, "Recall the year of the foretold mate, when the moral perversion of historian rituals was rife in Gymnasium Province Dach. Recall that Iducht II, to win back the moral code, appointed a minister who mandated association with roots." And their leftover followers are spread throughout the game, and you can even find the Sultan's long-lost artifacts like the Shining West of Ipar that grants light manipulation because the Sultan that generated it was quite a fan of
light bulb.
Or like tomes, like the tome of the disgraceful scroll that just teaches you to lunge. Or weapons like Madhottir's boomstick, which also reflects how the Sultan isn't really liked by unshelled reptiles and how he killed them. There are certain locations and quests in the game that will always be the same, but even many of the predetermined elements will have randomized components in them. You didn't roll like 7 Ichor merchants on the 6th day stilt? Get the fuck out of here, it's a restart. Villages can be generated with village chiefs being otherworldly beings or animated, with wardens that have been rolled to hate the village faction, continuing to slaughter half or all of the starting town. The trader can be a root, or you'll find traders spawning with guards that have been rolled to be traders, having even better inventories than their master. This shit is absolutely glorious. Welcome to the early game main quest dungeon. Oopsie, we rolled a 36. 36 what? 36 chain guns in a tight room, baby! The setting, as previously mentioned, most likely is a degenerated far-future version of our Earth. It seems that humanity had once reached some kind of super advanced state, only to then fall suddenly. Wow, that's a new one. People of the past delved into transhumanism, ascending to bizarre chimeric amalgamation of limbs, high-tech cyborgs, espers, which is like human with psychic and mental abilities, and experimented with different biological mutations, reaching Orokin-esque levels of advancement. Shout out to my Warframe brothers. I haven't played this game in years. These forefathers of KNiCE were called Eaters, although that may just be a mistranslation of consumer. But it seems once a certain thing occurred, that the Eaters retreated into safe sealed-off cities below the earth, but even those slowly died away in time, except for a handful of them. Wars and great droughts starved the planet of its drinkable water, and most of what is left over is salty, muddy waste, making pure water the actual currency in KNiCE. The leftover humans on the surface mutated under the effects of the breaking environmental system, different kinds of otherworldly beings and creatures appearing and evolving in our world, and the history of the previously mentioned sultans starts to play out after some time. By the time we as the players set foot into KNiCE, what we find is a hostile husk of a planet, scarred by a myriad of catastrophes, wars and deformations, with relics of the past scattered in, around and over the silty filth of its rotting body. After being introduced to a devastated world with a long history, every gamer logically will ask the same question. Why am I feeling still empty inside? What is the lore of such a place? On your journeys throughout KNiCE, you will find many books. Most will be randomly generated gibberish with a 1d20 chance of making you laugh. Some will be authored books with actual lore and history inside it, marked in gold. And the green books will contain a shitty recipe on cucumbers or whatever. These mostly useless white books still serve an important function though. You can either sell them for some good early money, I mean water, or you will bring them to a randomly generated librarian in a fixed location in exchange for XP. But do me and yourself a favor. Open the randomly generated white books at least once and look for the words Peyruis, Eisner or Stopswellen. The white books can contain useful information and the quest log will not display it, so watch out. Until one day you find a book with such an insightful title as Pressure Delivers Me into Slavery, 4th edition, but it may still contain critical information. You know what? Enough explaining. Let's play the frickin' game. What do we, the players, play in KNiCE? You can either start as a Truekin, one of the unmutated, pure consumer humans from the 3 leftover sealed cities I mentioned earlier, or as a mutated dweller and product of the surface. The game doesn't specify why a Truekin would leave his safe haven, nor why we go on our adventure as the dweller we choose. Depending on our choice, the leveling, starting equipment, stats and abilities will be different. The Truekins have higher stats to boot, will equip and enhance themselves with cybernetics, and are arguably the stronger pick, but they require some previous knowledge of the game to be played correctly. If we start as a mutated one, leveling will entail gaining mutations over time, which can lead to some insane combinations, but their stats will be considerably lower at start. After choosing your genotype, you will allocate your stats in the Satiwe system. Man, how has nobody ever achieved a better acronym than special in all this time? What the fuck? So strength. Strength determines your melee strength and ability and how much you can carry around. Yes, there will be equipment load and you will hate it, but you will also persevere through and negate the equipment load in time. Stay strong, literally. Strength also makes it more difficult for enemies to just push you around. Agility is very straightforward. Agility determines your ability to dodge and how accurately you can use your weaponry and aim your shots, preferably also very straightforward. Toughness is obviously in the bag of big hit point, but it also influences your regeneration rate, resistance to poison and similar effects. Intelligence determines how good or bad you are at finding out if this strange assortment of tubes is an extra-dimensional gas pipe, a weapon of ass destruction, a literal IKEA garden chair, or a geometrically impossible space and time denial machine. Intelligence also, very Falloutly, determines how many skill points per level up you receive to spend. The game has different small skill trees, if you will, where you can acquire new abilities as long as you possess the stat prerequisite. Pretty standard stuff, but also pretty diverse and interesting. I mean, sure, you can just become better at shooting with guns, which is pretty cool and strong, but there's also more abstract stuff like trash divining, where you'll have a chance to supernaturally intuit the secrets of KNiCE by rummaging through waste. There's also skills to give you more movement and escape options, and most important of all, Carbide Chef. These staffs really said, we need to cook cooking. Started cooking on cooking, cooked cooking into the already cooked cock. Said, so I heard you guys like cooking, so we put cooking in our cooked cock so you can cook while our cock cooks you. Okay, I'll stop. Where were we? Yeah, I was explaining the stats, right? So, after strength, agility, toughness and intelligence, all very essential, we come to what is closest to a dump stat. Willpower. Willpower decreases the cooldowns of your abilities, further increases regeneration rate, and decides if you will win or lose the mental duel if you, a sentient, developed life form, are psychosexually assaulted by a pink alligator. So, while it may be the closest thing to a dump stat, you still may want to accumulate some willpower by the mid-game. Ego. Ah, the male peak performance stat. What use is a healthy body, a splendid mind, or a brimming heart of compassion if you can't dominate others by the sheer extremism of arrogance and climb the social ladder by subjugating others? Summary. Ego makes you traumatize, cauterize, proselytize, and pulverize others' minds more. Speaking of dominate, let me tell you of the popular gender dysphoric techno-faith salad build, which I rolled to start with the domination mutation in a village containing a legendary apple farmer's daughter. Why would I do this, you ask? Her stats are OP. Well, even with all the technological advancements of the past, it seems there exists no equivalent to HRT in the case of KNiCE, therefore requiring us to load a gun, drop it on the ground, invade our desired form's mind, pick up the gun and shoot our old selves in the head. Now this is what we in the business call a positive consumer interaction. It was very positive, to me at least, and I did indeed consume by interaction. Good news guys, the operation was successful. Bad news, I may have just assumed the body of my main quest giver, therefore not allowing me to progress the main quest. Fuck. So I'm under the waste in search of experience to level up, slaughtering enemies, growing wings, get infected with fungi and grow a thick fungal growth and enveloping my head, you know how it is, in hopes of regaining the domination mutation again, so I can dominate someone else in my vicinity and talk to myself in hopes to actually finish the quest and spawning my own main quest item, I guess. Well, apart from it probably not working due to the actual quest giver's mind being gone, it seems my oh so powerful new host also can't survive 2 angry goats in the jungle. I'm not bad at the game, I was already injured from fights before, I swear, shut up. I died. Well, fuck. Alright, so that didn't work. Postscriptum editing broken here. So from the point in time I wrote this part in the script up until now, I've played like 120 additional hours of KNiCE and learned that I could have just picked up the tablet in the ruins of Joppa and continued that way. So to the KNiCE veterans, please don't comment that, I am aware, okay? Although maybe still comment, it's good for the algorithm, I guess. Alright, so that didn't work. This most obviously must have been the fault of our hyper-liberal, weak-bodied, meek physiology or character that clearly had been infected with the virus. Therefore, it is time we take preventative countermeasures by picking the pure, unmutated, eugenically bred Truekin and not investing any points in intelligence at all, because in the wise words of a pot and godhead, no cortex, no guy. This leaves us with plenty of points to improve our physique, becoming a mega masculine muscular hunk, ripe for plenty of hunk-on-hunk action in the process. With enormous amounts of strength and toughness, basically sweating concentrated testosterone, we embark to the caves of KNiCE once more. An ideal man, like an angelic warrior chiseled from marble flesh by the gods themselves, holding a shield firm in one hand, holding a long sword even firmer in the other, and, most firmly, like every real god-respecting man, holding an eternal grudge against the enemies of the true faith. Disclaimer, I do not endorse or deride any specific religion in this context. I hate all of us the same and I believe there is no heaven, but there really should be a hell. See you there. This time we choose the lore-friendly Joppa as our starting village, pre-made, non-randomized start with a small set of some fixed intro quests. I am a simple man. They ask me, what is eating the water wine? And I answer by offensively enforcing my Second Amendment right through the flesh, fiber and bones of 87 undesirables, grab one of their now teethless corpses and drag them before the town mayor. This is what a real man calls conversation. You see, ladies, this is the reason why you speak 5,000 words on average every day, while we men make do with 7. This is me saying it, you know? Fucking hypocrite. Our next task is to help out the town nerd. Ha! Typical. The intellectual needs to ask a prime alpha specimen like us for help to achieve these illusory things they call like plans and science. Through the wonder of cooperation, we learned that helping the weakling men we can ascend to main character status. After bringing him some trinket and some metal rope, we are put on the actual path of the main quest. Apparently the answer to what was eating the water wine wasn't that easily answered just with violence, and we are asked to bring a tablet that has the traces of a weird signal that the Tinkerer picked up and engraved upon it to some isolationist, scientifically inclined bears below a place called Gridgate. Muscles hulking in and pushing against our armor, we make our way over. But as it turns out, only investing in bodily strength may not be enough in the Kudian landscape. As we descend into Gridgate, we are assaulted by one of the smarts, and our weak mind is easily wiped out. And so, in one more gush of cranium and cerebrum alike, one more soul fades to grey, claimed by the merciless caves of KNiCE. Alright, well it seems we may need some amount of mental capacity to survive in this world. Truekin playthroughs can be quite fun, but they take a while to set up. The lack of mutations in the early game means you have to rely on your actual stats and weaponry for the first section of the game, which will only change once you get access to the first credit wedges, and even then your power level won't change dramatically. Yet. Here is my Artifacts Tinker Schmied 3 hours into his run, getting finished by a random machine turret. Now, what are credit wedges? The ancient inhabitants of the world left body-morphing machines lying around called becoming nooks. So if you, a purebred child of man of old, want to install Edward Cullen mode into your body, but also being able to see in the night, I'm totally not trying to become a vampire, you will upgrade your license and you will pay up in a long-gone currency you can barely find any of anymore. This keeps a lot of Truekin characters from snowballing too early, at least until they roll a recipe that lets them beguile a plant in the jungle. You'll see what I mean by that.
Check out my plant. Do you like my plant? I've fertilized it 3 times. I fertilized this plant 3 times on. I thought of you. I thought of you while I was doing it on. I thought of you while I fertilized my plant 3 times. Do you like it?
Read the descriptions of the cybernetics before you install them. You wouldn't want to irreversibly mutilate yourself just because you thought you could try out how it feels to be a Panzer girl. Maybe the true legs were the tracks we made along the way. Even if you install a gun rack for extra gun slots into your physical body, then replace your hands with gigantic ludicrous prosthetics to wield two-handed guns in one hand only, and then continue to wield 4 heavy weapons simultaneously, specifically built to terminate chrome pyramids, one of the strongest enemies in the game, you better bring a bit more to the table than just that, to survive some exploration in the banana groves. The trees don't start speaking here, they are a bit more leaves on, and this fucking teleport spider, I swear to God!
I have been baptized
thrice. Once by a goat, once by a beta, and once by a porter spoder. I will carry my guns in the Sultan's name until I stand before Ninhursag for judgment. I was reborn because I was saltier than the dunes around me. I fell down into the caves of Kud, but my guns fired on and on. By the salt rivers of probably actually Babylon, I woke up. Yeah, I wept when I remembered the spindle. Remember, O Sultans, the children of the Gersh in the day of Reshef who said, Raise it to the very last map layer. In the best of all possible worlds, they would just leave us in peace. But they won't. I don't enjoy killing, but when done righteously, it's just a chore like any other. Show no quarters to the creatures I've come across! Make no mistake about why I'm here! This is an extermination! The gunslinger absolutely fucks. High agility, akimbo guns from the start, pick multiple arms and night visions and whatever else you like, then start skilling short blades. For extra flavor, pick Chimera, which will allow you to get only physical, so no mental, mutations, but also being a Chimera means having the ability of growing a new body part every time you mutate. Welcome, Monstrum, for Nomen est Omen. It won't take long until we ascend into a grotesque demigod, pinpoint dead-eye accuracy in ranged combat, flurry of crits in close quarters, all while widely flinging our N++ limbs around. We start off by lying to a religious dude about throwing his trinket into a well, granting us an early random item of little worth and a quest to go to a fixed location to get some XP. We'll do this right after getting some initial levels, but theoretically you can also just beeline it there to get those sweet 1500 XP early. To get some initial experience, we do the closer located randomly generated starting quests consisting of, sitting on the floor cushion of Eisen Fronderi Pentacle Wagon and finding the Waterique Force modulator implant at the Uwu Anteversion. Rest assured, on dear second monitor listener and or now dear viewer, for just a minute before you put me back on the second monitor, these are some of the less ridiculous quest descriptions. After doing one of the 2 initial efforts, because the second location sucks cock, we gain some levels, and as we drop the legendary pig farmer Mumet's quest, we are informed that the strange signal has been picked up, and that Mumet thinks it could be important. Though this is like the quest we did in Joppa with the other character, but this time we won't die. We get a data disk with that very strange signal inscribed on it, and we are asked to deliver it to the so-called Barathromites, a secluded order of bear people, in hopes that they may decipher it. Before we do that though, it's time for some more experience, so we can actually survive the task given. And as you may remember, we scammed some dude out of his little relic, which turns out to be a screwdriver, but doing that still got us a quest. So let's go visit the 6-day stilt, a huge desert settlement 9 screens wide in the far north of the desert. And try not to get lost 1, 2, 3, okay, 3 times on the way. Holy shit. The 6-day stilt is always 3 times 3 screens big, with a central tile that contains the Mechanimist's main temple, and a randomly generated librarian. With a bit of luck, you may even roll the librarian of Le Tourneau. I don't watch Northernline, my brain just spat this out while writing. This is a very hilarious joke. How fucking high was I? Oh my god. Yeah, I'm good at this. I'm a writer, guys. The southern central tile has some static components like the warden and this elk girl here, which we'll get to in a second. But the rest of the settlement will be populated by random merchants. This may lead to some runs being basically ruined if you just get a plethora of hatters and glovers and no ichor merchants, or other runs being absolutely blessed with bookbinder guardians, multiple schematic drafters and kippers. But our monstrum is poor as shit right now, so we need to ration the little water we have. We sell what we can and get the quest from the previously mentioned elk girl. She asks us to visit her isolated hometown of Beyla, located somewhere in ex-post-revolution Kurdistan, as they seem to be in trouble and still don't have a country called Kurdistan. She doesn't mention that the way to her village may be plastered with flower Patriot missile launchers, but as long as you don't get lost, you'll be fine. After some detour through the hills and mountains to do the second rando quest from the beginning for some extra XP and some highly medicinal and non-recreational drugs, we equip our 7th dagger on our face, sell some loot and make our way towards Beyla to see why the elk people are in trouble. Okay, so here was a 10-minute tangent on Bay fucking Law and the KNiCE quest, but we're pulling a little Todd here and we cut it out, so it just works. Basically the whole quest goes, "Hello, Elk Elder. Wear bracelet stolen by trans-inclusive family. I will confront. Hello, trans-inclusive family, I confront you. We didn't steal, we are trans-inclusive. Me also in gay love. T-face. Detective mode activated, it seems you are in gay love. Indeed, yes. Well, because I'm accepting of this, now it can be a gay love. Wow, very cool, thanks. Now let's roll a dice. I have done some detective work and found this gay love letter for you. Also, it may be the Elk Elder, or it may be the trans-inclusive family's leader, or it may be the Elder's bodyguard that stole the bracelet. Or maybe an outsider. Who knows? I haven't found it. Thanks for not finding the bracelet, but being inclusive to the trans-inclusive family. This will resolve the quest, and a random chance will decide if you chose correctly. Bye-bye. Bye. After this absolutely riveting summary of this Shakespearean tale... Now look, at first I wasn't a huge fan of this quest because I felt the whole setup with the LGBTQ family and the oh-so-conservative elder and bodyguard was for nothing if in the end the hints and clues you find aren't definitive, and a random chance decides who the culprit is. But I realized this is kinda clever in a way, because from my, or a rather liberal, POV, you may feel inclined to believe, oh, it's obviously the transphobic elder and his bodyguard that stole the bracelet, but at the same time, if very conservative players do this quest, they may just as well immediately suspect the woke family. So this creates an interesting conundrum for both sides, because the random chance can always subvert your immediate first instinctual expectation, just like in real life. Ugh, that was disgusting. I can almost feel the fence sliding up my ass. Alright, let's continue. We are back on track towards the main quest. What was it again? Yeah, we have to deliver this quest item to the quest target location. The Barathromites apparently reside in a place called Gritgate, and you want to be around level 8 or 9 before you try to reach their hidden underground honeypot. I will now give detailed directions to find them. 3-dimensionally, down, 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 then 2-dimensionally, up. Do totally not abuse the stairs to lure singular enemies up a level to isolate and finish them. Winky face. Hello, closed doors. We speak to a terminal and the Barathromites basically go, yes, interesting. Thanks for telling us. And if you want to be worth a lick in our eyes, you little mutant fuck bad excuse of a life form, find a dead robot in a miasmic ancient factory, repair it, and bring it to us to prove your worth. You will also address Barathrum as Daddy Bear, who is Barathrum. Oh, God. Now, it's not that extreme, obviously, but I find that the first Barathramite impression of proving our worth in an environment that will leave your mouth a ruined bloody wound a tiny bit antipathetic. Well, we find one of the bears called Mafio actually outside the walls of the Enclave selling some tier 2 stuff. I'm not gonna go into tiers, okay? Play the game and by the 200th hour or so you'll also understand about the quantum 100th of what the fuck these guys coded here and it'll all totally make sense, Uwu, believe me. And he gives us an important information you shouldn't ignore regarding your next destination, Golgotha. Because Golgotha is where we have to go, survive, pick up a dead robot, repair it and deliver it back just to, prove our worth. It's fucking stupid. The important information he tells us is to bring some honey and yuckweed to combat some sickness. Maybe. Well, like the overconfidentest, dimmedest wittest I am, I go, yeah bro, I've done that shit like at least on 2.5 other characters, LMAO. No worries, I will return with a booming voice and explicit pronunciation, and I'm on my way. Or Or Maffeo just spawned without any yuckwet or honey in his inventory and I just went fuck it and will do it and vaccinated. It's not like I teleport to a village right afterwards, don't even check the trader there. You know, they say you have to love yourself, but how am I supposed to ever do that? Such a stupid, overconfident moron that never learns! Okay. Self-esteem, soon to be self-loathing personified, I walk into Golgotha. Golgotha can be very difficult, and if your character is a slow, immobile, heavily armored piece of flesh that cannot phase through objects, teleport, or even merely jump, then you will die a horrible death amidst sentient flutes and chewed crabs here. So grab some injectors, don't forget to bring honey like I did here, and don't fight. Just rush down the assembly lines. Vents, amogus, and shoots until you find yourself in the easy part. A level filled with disgusting pools of piranha-ridden waste and high-level mobs. And an NPC you better be friendly with, else you just stay out of the fucking sight, okay? Now listen, I encountered some fucked up shit spawning in this early low-level main story level here. So grab one of the broken robots and teleport out as soon as you can, or try your luck. I mean, there's good loot to be had, theoretically. In any case, if you make it out alive with one of the mechanical carcasses, right-click repair it as if you had invested points into tinkering, even if you haven't, and get ready to deliver it to the Barathromites, and scream in pain as your tongue starts splitting open and slowly rots off. What? Oh yeah, there was something, wasn't there? Glot-rot. It gets even the best of us. Shoutouts and RIP to my homegirl Rebecca. She had the best palindromic tattoos, man. It's a terrible affliction. Glot-rot makes your tongue rot off, and even if you regrow it with tonic or mutations, Glot-rot is like the next iteration of Elder Scrolls or Fallout. It will just claim your speech once more. In little time, our character's ability to talk is diminished to pained mumble grunts of and you may be surprised to learn that losing your tongue and having an ichor-laden, stinking, festering swollen wound smack dab in the middle of your mouth cavity could have a detrimental effect on your haggling capacities. This surely is what Bidenomics must feel like. Now the cure to sicknesses and fungal infections in this game are randomly generated, so we will have to find the Corpus Colliis, which will contain the cures in and for every playthrough. After mixing some water, wine and blood, I found in some random puddle on the ground, we light the canteen on fire and then drink from the flaming container. Who would have thunk that in this seed the cure to literal gory mouth lepra is just some mulled wine spiced with a vampiric undertone? Well, we burnt the Glot-rot out of our body. What now? Time to regrow our tongue. For that, we either grind levels and hope for a random roll on regeneration, a mutation that will automatically regrow cut off limbs in time, or we just find just one so-called Uber Nostrum injector. Just one, like for fuck's sake. And I shit you not, I played for several hours more on this character, and no matter what I did. I explored historic ruins, I refreshed the apothecary and ichor merchants non-stop, I checked on 6 even, did all I could, no Uber Nostrum injector, and also no regeneration mutation. And so, Monstrum, a creature that could have ascended to so much more, spends its life roaming the caves of Kud in search of a new tongue, trading in rarities for a minuscule fraction of the water it's worth, mumbling as I sell off unique artifacts to just keep on living and drinking in the caves of Kud. I then didn't play the game for quite some time because real life dared to intervene quite harshly in my flight from it, so when I returned to gather footage for this vid, I realized I don't know shit anymore. Okay, so what's the 64,000 dram question? Holy cow, I'm so delayed with the production of this video, I gotta rush it out now. Here we go. What's the 64,000 dram question for the vid? What is the most idiotic task I can put on myself to get back into the game? How about you stream the game in some kind of challenge format, Felsbrocken? And it is a very stupid question. And it's got a very, very clear answer. Random starts. The key to COQ, the key to still end up fucking procrastinating, the key to get views, not really, is random starts, 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 random starts. Yes! Oh my god, what the fuck even is this bit? This is stupid. Anyway, so yeah, to get back into the game, I was like, hey, let me do some like random challenge where I do random starts to reach the Barathromites and live stream it, so I'm locked in and like have to do it. And yeah, I thought it would take maybe 2-3 hours on one stream. Well, it took a lot longer than that, let me tell you. In case it's gonna be more than this one. Yeah. R.I.P. Zink, R.I.P. No, I was killed by Wahoomaruma. Okay, yeah, but this, I'm gonna be honest, this was a really bad bet. Run away. Yeah. Can't. Man. God. Okay, I need. Okay. Oh. What? Okay, I need to. Okay, I need to eat. That's more important. Okay, fuck. I'm sorry. Yeah, we eat our hoo-hoo. Damn. You were killed by an Umumuchu. So. Oh no. What? No. I forgot my reputation. Uh-oh. I think I've done something stupid. Yeah. Okay. Die. Just die. No, just die. Oh my god. Why are you not helping me, you fucking dragonfly? Yeah, I'm dead. God, fuck. Yeah, well, I guess this... What? Oh no. What? Started dismembering me from the first. What am I supposed to fucking do? Or say? Man, it's just fuck. Just seriously, what? Like, fuck off. What? Who made this? What? Oh my god, thirst whistle. Just fuck off. What? I'm this close to actually punching something. Bro lost to plant. No, I didn't lose to the plant. I lost to the thirst and the surprise effect. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Come help me, goat. God. What? Oh, I'm going crazy. I'm actually gonna scream, man. Apparently, no. Oh my fucking god. Yeah. Okay. Like, come on, game. Yeah. So basically, I start to. How did he hit me for 12? A Let's Luck hit me from the east, but it came from above. This game, this makes no sense. What? He naturally hit me in the head for what? For 19 damage. Well, after embarrassing myself online for like 10 hours, we finally did it. We made it to the Barathromites with a fully random start. So yeah, I felt like I was finally ready to get back into the game again for real. Here we go. Alright, but it's time to take this seriously now. Meet an Otho, which I thought would only be, well, another one. It's time to ascend to godhood, and we won't let some rotting tongue stop us this time. An Otho is a scholar archetype, has wings, night vision, and he can activate his e-boy mode to convince others to freely share their inventory with him. High intelligence, high ego, starting in a hill village, start goes as usual. You do some randomly generated quests in hopes of getting some easy XP. Don't forget to activate your fly ability before traveling on the overworld. It will reduce your chances of getting lost. But it should reduce your chances of getting lost. Okay. As a mostly ego-int-based character with a sickly frail excuse of a body, it is important that we keep our distance from enemies for now. Upon our first level up, we get our unstable genome trigger and we roll literally the best Esper abilities possible on our first roll. We get Sunder Mind, which will be our bread and butter in psychic damage output. A terribly strong, terribly designed ability where you stand in place and manually wait your turns while you destroy someone else's brain. Well, it's okay, I guess. We do the quest of a so-called Accursed the Wary first, drop the quest and accept the delivery task to reach the Barathromites, and then do the water ritual with her. What is a water ritual? I don't know. I imagine you just say live and drink repeatedly while smearing the other person with exactly 3.69, nice, 669, nice, milliliters of water, I guess. This will then trigger reputation changes according to the past actions of the person you're bonding with. Check the NPCs first by looking at them, else you may find yourself at war with merchants, mechanimists, or late-game robots. But in this case, having done the quest and ritual, Accursed likes us quite a bit, and we can ask her to join us as a companion, which she does. Now, let me tell you, there is no companion limit in the game, and companions of companions will join you as companions. Fucking what am I talking about? Well, you're limited to one beguiled and one proselytized NPC at the same time. As long as you convince people to join you per the water ritual and faction reputation, you can just stack them up until you can feel the Unity engine creak below your every keyboard input. Like, ugh. Hello, new friend. Give me back your quest item and also the rest of your items. We sell them for water, spend our skill points and are on our way. Tip: if you don't start in Joppa, but a random village that isn't in the marshes, there will always be a random village in this small marsh area here. So if you have some points invested in a bit of wayfaring, you may just snuff out the village, and therefore another quest reward, in very little time. And now it's off to the 6-day silt, we get the Bela quest, our beguiling doesn't work on merchants yet, so we're still too low level. Bela quest speedrun, solve the village's problems, everyone is happy, I water ritual the warden, leaving the newly happy village defenseless, but myself a bit more defenseful. It's Caves of Khud, everyone, not Caves of the Geneva Convention. While leveling up, Anotho also rolls some mediocre mutations, and we unlock one of the best crafting systems I've ever seen in a game. I love this shit. Tinkering, ladies and gentlemen, is for now just disassemble shit you don't need and isn't too valuable, but will become I create whatever the fuck I want from weightless pieces of trash in my inventory. And whatever the fuck doesn't mean some Fallout-like trash wall. No, it means whatever the fuck. From now on, every schematic possessing existence in vicinity will be mercilessly flirted with until they hand over all their plans and tinkering bits out of sheer goonery, all while we assemble our continuously expanding library of knowledge. Random quest done, it's time to visit the science bears. A mutant with a disassembling addiction, a telepathic bear, an elk paladin, and a beautiful wary apple farmer's daughter walk into a bar called Gritgate. The barkeeper says, "Sorry, it seems we're set too low, this isn't even a joke." Drop the disc, quest and loot at the Barathramite Enclave Gate and are tasked once more to go to Golgotha. This time, let's not have our tongue die off. At this point, we're not trading anymore by mortal standards. If a trader isn't too high level and has stuff I want, beguile. If a trader is too high level and has stuff I want, beguile, fail, wait, repeat until it works. This game gives you no quarter, so you'll give none back. Example, our first companion, Accursed the Wary, dies literally 5 minutes later in the next exploration crawl. Fantastic. While exploring the western part of Khud to gain some XP and loot, Anotho starts also skilling into cooking, and our literal first inspired recipe is already a banger! And this recipes will only get more ridiculous, believe you me. More beguiling, more knowledge, more water. Anotho is essentially accelerating. Robbing every trader of his goods, converting enemies when it gets a bit too hairy, gathering and losing companions as they serve as living shield and sword for a metamorphically metabolizing mental monster. Golgotha? More like go fuck yourself? What fucking die, man. Periodically checking on the Ichor merchant in the 6-day stilt, it's only a matter of time until it happens. A white, pinkish droplet of the arguably most broken liquid in the game, cloning draught, spawned in his inventory. And then, Mafio, the absolute baller, randomly spawns a metamorphic polygel in his inventory. I planned to get it from a certain plant soon, but I'll take it, thanks. Now, you may ask, dear viewer, what does metamorphic polygel do? Well, it metamorphs into polys, which is Greek for many, things. And I'm not kidding, almost every object can be replicated with this gel. This is also the moment I'd like to introduce you to the aforementioned plant, 6-Shrew, one of the most reliable sellers of polygel in the game. We earlier got cloning drought from the Ichor merchant, and we now got access to polygel through Chlorophyll Senpai over here. Cloning, replication, you see where all this is going? What follows from now on is an exploration in the concept of exponentiality. It starts by breaking the trade system through Beguile. That is 1. More schematics, more gang. The Technopope, he's in my signal group chat, not an accident. More equipment, more books, more experience. But all of this is still linear power increase. It is 2. But acquiring clothing drought and polygel from Mafia and 6-Shrew, 2 times 2, makes 4. The human mind, the spirit of man unleashed, can never resist the lure of escalating exploitation if it is not stopped in its tracks. More 6-Shrew, more and more rare artifacts, more bits, more Ichor merchants, more cloning droughts than we can carry. The thirst turns into polygel exclusive mania. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is 8. Schrodinger's pages without specified chapter drop, replicate. Reputation is not an issue anymore. Spheres of negative weight, replicate. Carry weight is not an issue anymore. Ether's nectar, the essence of the glory of old, granting 1 free stat or mutation point, replicate. Stats bloat, mutations amass, new psychic eyes observe our increasingly shimmering mind from the void. Then get the absolutely busted random spawn of a gigantic Ether's injector, giving double the stat or mutation points. This is 16. Extra-dimensional hunters explode their heads. The invisible, ape-spawning phantom gorilla that guards Bethesda Souza beguile him like the thrall he is destined to be and watch the engine tank. The Mechanimist Enclave isn't friendly, and Nado does not care. 1 clone per 20 turns dies by poly exclusion clause. Pour out 1 for and of the boys until one of the boys pours out of you. Require the hands of a god for your golem, but the god is already a submissive member of your party. Invade his mind, reset his psyche and physique until the god learns how to amputate, cut off his hand, return to your own body and heal your injured divine slave. Just because you can, want, and should. And if you know exponentiality, you know this is just the beginning. Obliterate, dominate, and revel in consumption. Ether. And all that I've shown you by now is basically the equivalent of making it to High Hrothgar and Skyrim. There is a lot more to find out, explore, and experience. This cock is rock hard. No, seriously. Caves of Code will beat, mistreat, and defeat you over and over until you come around with the snowballing monstrosity soon to be demigod, cut the enemies, mechanics, and any semblance of power scaling wide open, and bathe in the gushing blood of digital guts of sheer insanity spilling out of it. Destroying, absorbing, ingesting, everything and everyone daring to even exist within even conceptual vicinity of your path. And even then, always be wary. No attempt will leave you without surprise. Get ready to be assaulted by otherworldly extra-dimensional beings trying to have a literal peace of mind, or to have a singular nice 5-second interaction with an elk out in the middle of the fucking desert, only for his extremely isolationist home village in bumfuck nowhere, several hundred kilometers to the east, having an actual crash out, murdering you as you arrive only few hours later. The world truly seems not only mightier, but also faster than the sword. Confront your companions about the collateral pyromaniac flower bed and several force fields they spawn upon the site of a singular red dot. The atmosphere in Code is absolutely fantastic. This shit is like quicksand. You'll be hard-pressed to find a game in this style enveloping and immersing you in its randomized hellscape deeper and quicker than Caves of Code. The music absolutely fucks, and the graphics, while obviously basic in their nature, have been crafted with love, a keen eye for detail, and they're surprisingly efficient at communicating to the player what is happening, once you get used to it. The devs squeezed everything they could out of the Unity engine, and the Unity engine itself squeezes out as much as it can out of these sprites. Pro tip: do not make a character with the quantum jitters deficiency, then clone yourself 30 times in the mid-game, or this shit will happen. A lot about Caves of Kut can be off-putting. Its difficulty, its visuals, its Discord server. But I wholeheartedly invite you to give this truly unique game amidst a constant plethoric stream of digital slop a chance. Just build a few characters and see how long you can survive. Use your growing experience and understanding to craft better and more formidable characters. And soon enough you will be plowing through Kut with your own demigod, until said demigod dies alone in a cave, abandoned by his clones because they died by a poly-exclusion principle, surrounded by monsters worthy of their own demigod status. On and on, until you ascend, recome, and answer the questions. What is the essence of life? It is water from which humankind sprang forth. We came, be it by the hand of God or sheer coincidence, to rule the world. What is the essence of humankind? It is curiosity from which exponentiality arose, be it productive or destructive, to change and influence the earth we dwell on. And what is the essence of exponentiality? It is what human curiosity pushes ourselves, those around us, the planet, and everyone as a whole, to be and become. Have a good one.